There's a kind of sorrow that looks noble from the outside. A person can't move on from someone they once loved. Friends and family watch as this individual continues to linger on a relationship that ended months, sometimes years ago. And we're often inclined to see this in a warm, almost admirable light. It feels like a tribute to something deep and meaningful, a sign of loyalty in a world where people move on too quickly. But beneath the poetry and melancholy of it all, something else is often happening, something less romantic and more complicated. Obsessing over someone who no longer wants us or whom we can never be with might not be a symbol of deep love. It might be a kind of emotional evasion, a way to protect ourselves from the actual risks of love by staying tied to someone who, by their very nature, can never hurt us again. Because they're gone. Because the relationship is, in effect, over. One of the most iconic stories of romantic fixation is Goethe's The Sorrows of Young Werther. Werther, the passionate, sensitive hero, falls hopelessly in love with Charlotte, a kind, intelligent woman who is already married. She enjoys Werther's company, but she cannot love him. And still, he remains devoted to her. He writes letters about her beauty, her grace, her laughter. And eventually, he becomes so overwhelmed by the impossibility of his love that he ends his own life. The novel was adored when it came out. People saw it as a monument to true feeling. But in truth, it tells a more troubling tale. Werther's devotion is touching, but also tragic in a different way. It's a blueprint for how people use unrequited love to avoid confronting the realities of a relationship. Werther didn't have to deal with Charlotte's flaws, her moods, her possible betrayals, her full complexity. He only had to deal with the idea of her. His pain was intense, but familiar and controlled, and in a strange way, safe. And that's the secret most of us don't want to admit, that clinging to someone who isn't available might not be love at all. It might be fear, a fear of vulnerability, a fear of being seen, a fear of trying again and failing. Because real relationships require us to be brave. They require us to be seen, not just our highlight reels, but the raw, insecure, anxious parts of ourselves. When we stay fixated on someone who's left us, we're spared that exposure. We suffer, yes, but we also remain untouched. The heartbreak becomes a shield. But why do we do this? Why do we sometimes prefer to ache for someone who's no longer there, rather than open ourselves to someone new? For many, the answer lies buried in the deeper layers of the psyche. Some of us are afraid of hope. To love again would mean to believe that something good can still happen. And after enough disappointment, hope starts to feel dangerous. Others carry a quiet sense of unworthiness. We believe that no one could ever really want us, so when someone does, we push them away, or we focus on someone unattainable, someone we know won't return our love. That way, we never have to deal with the terrifying reality of being accepted. Then there's the fear of being known. Love is revealing. It asks us to take off our emotional armor. It demands we show our flaws, admit our fears, be honest about who we really are. And some of us would rather fantasize about a perfect love that's out of reach than face the messiness of real intimacy. None of these fears make us weak or broken. They make us human, but they also keep us stuck. And the longer we stay in that loop, idealizing the one who left, rewriting the story in our heads, the more we rob ourselves of what's still possible. So how do we finally move on? The first step is not to deny that the love existed. We don't need to belittle our past feelings or pretend that the person meant nothing. That kind of repression only makes things worse. Instead, we need to get deeply honest, not about them, but about what they represented to us. What were we drawn to? Was it their confidence, their kindness, the way they made us feel seen? We need to identify the specific traits that made them irresistible. And then comes the liberating part, realizing that these qualities are not confined to that one person. The world is full of others who embody those very things, without the obstacles, complications, or emotional unavailability that define the past relationship. When we isolate the essence of what we admired, we begin to see that love isn't a single person. It's a constellation of qualities. Qualities that exist in many forms, in many people. The key is to decouple those traits from the unique individual we attach them to. It's also important to confront the role we played in our fixation, not out of blame, but out of compassion. We need to ask, what am I avoiding by staying stuck here? Is it rejection? Is it the pain of being vulnerable again? Is it the fear that I might not survive another heartbreak? These are not easy questions, but they are the only path forward. Often we think that getting over someone means we have to stop caring, that we must force ourselves to forget. But in truth, moving on is an act of transformation, not erasure. It's about understanding that love is not scarce, that the feelings we once had can live again, in new and perhaps even better ways. And yet, letting go also requires that we face something few of us like to admit, that heartbreak has its strange comforts. Being rejected or clinging to someone unavailable offers a kind of twisted security. You don't have to risk anything. You don't have to grow. You don't have to face the awkwardness of dating again or the vulnerability of being seen. But this comfort is a cage. It keeps you in a loop where no progress is possible. And so long as we live inside that illusion, that the one we lost was the only one, we remain prisoners of a past that cannot be changed. True love, contrary to what our culture often tells us, is not about endless longing. It's not about pining, suffering, or writing poems to ghosts. It's about courage. It's about finding someone who is present, who wants us as we are, and who invites us to grow, not shrink in their presence. And that, for many of us, is the real challenge. To accept that we are worthy of love not only in theory, but in practice. Not just from afar, but up close. It might not feel as poetic. There may not be swelling music or tragic monologues, but it's more powerful than that. It's real. The question isn't, how do I forget them? The question is, what did I learn from loving them? And how can I carry that learning into something new? We honor past love not by staying frozen in it, but by using it as fuel for the love that's still possible. Letting go is not a betrayal of what was. It's a brave commitment to what can be. If this message resonated with your spirit, consider sharing it. Someone out there might be carrying the same questions, the same doubts, the same quiet hope, and your sharing might be the reminder they need. Stay true, stay kind, stay you. For more insights on philosophy, personal growth, and the art of clear thinking, subscribe and turn on notifications. Flow through life and embrace the journey of thought with curiosity and insight. Seek truth, seek wisdom, and remember to question everything. Until next time, stay curious.